Hello, this is Blaze from Blaze Tempest Gaming. This is a Shinegreymon deck profile, post BT12. First, we're going to start with the eggs. We're running 4 of Red Koromon from BT5. His effect is, if this Digimon has Omnimon or Greymon in its name, when it attacks, you get to draw a card. Pretty simple. If you are looking for a 5th egg, this is probably the best option you have, which is BT9 Koromon, which is if you have Agumon or Greymon and you're inheritable, +1 DP. Pretty nice. If you prefer, you could also, if you want more power, this is also not a bad egg, but I prefer the draw because we are searching for some pieces. Next, from our level 2s, we have our level 3s. We're running 4 Agumon X Antibody. Agumon X Antibody, it has the following effect. He can Digivolve 0 from any Agumon card. Not Agumon's name, Agumon, so he can't Digivolve from another version of himself, only other Agumons. His on-play and when Digivolving effect is reveal top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 card with Greymon, or Omnimon's name, and 1 X Antibody. But you do not run X Antibody, so mostly just an Omnimon or Searcher. The main big reason for this guy is he is a dinosaur. Next, we're running the best Agumon in the deck. If you ask me if this is in your starting hand, it's a pretty decent starting hand, or a good starting hand. He is Digivolve 0 from an Agumon, from a Koromon, sorry. On play, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. Add 1 Digimon card with Greymon in its name, and 1 Marcus Daemon. So your main searcher, it searches for everything you need in this deck, which is Marcus's and Greymons. Next, we're running 3 Agumon from starter deck, 7. He has no effect other than his inheritable, which is when this Digimon attacks a player, it gets +2 DP. The big reason why we're running him, like the other Agumons we've currently seen, is that he is a dinosaur, which will come up later. Next, we're running 2 Agumon. This is the last of our 3s. His ability is Digivolve 0 from Koromon. His other effect is reveal top 4 cards, add 1 Digimon card with Greymon or Omnimon in its name, and a Tamer card with Tai in its name. Both these effects are relevant. His inheritable is you get +1 DP if you have Omnimon or Greymon in your name. His only downside is that he's a reptile, which is why we're not running more of him. We are running a bit more 3s because we want to really get the searches on. Next, we're running 4 Greymon. This card's effect is when this Digimon has Agumon in its Digivolution sources, you get 1 memory. Its inheritable is if you attack, if you have Greymon or Omnimon, you get +2. So to clarify on this guy's effect, if you have this card in your sources, you will get the +1 memory. If you have this guy in your sources alone, you won't get the +1 memory. But if you have both of these in your sources, like this, you will get the memory. Next, this is a really important card, which is Shinegreymon. The big important text here is Digivolve 2 from an Agumon with dinosaur in its traits. So what this means is I can Digivolve 2 from Agumon X, I can Digivolve 2 from my Agumon from BT12, the yellow-red one, but I cannot Digivolve 2 from the black-red one because he is a reptile. His and then his on Digivolving effect is if you don't have Marcus, you get to play Marcus. So basically, it's free. His other effect is when one of your yellow or Digimon Tamers becomes suspended, one of your opponent's Digimon gets -2 DP, which is the same inheritable as the BT12 Agumon. Next, we're running 2 Tekkens, which is 1 Greymon X Antibody and 1 Agumon. We're running Agumon because we run all Tamers in this deck, so being able to hybrid for game is always good if you can afford it. If you can afford to run enough Tamers, to make this worth it. Then we're running 1 Greymon X Antibody. To clarify, so his effect is Digivolve 0 from a Greymon. So, for example, I can Digivolve 0 from this Greymon, but I cannot Digivolve 0 from this Greymon. His effect is when you Digivolve into a card with Greymon in its name, Reduce the cost by 1 for each of those cards to cost. So basically in this deck, you can reduce the cost by 2, which is pretty good. And then Digivolve just Digivolve from a tamer. Next, we're going to go into our 5s, which is, oh yeah, to clarify something I should probably note. If you don't want to run the Greymons here, you could run Geogreymon instead, plus another Agumon if you really prefer it. This is probably a bit safer. I just prefer this because eventually you're not going to be able to do this, and I do think it's kind of fun. And they could do some bonky stuff because you can Digivolve for 1, Digivolve for 0, and then to this card you can basically Digivolve for basically 1 because you get memory potentially. But I do like it. I'm taking advantage of it. But if you want to, Geogreymon is a nice option for the deck currently. Next we're running our 5, which is our BT12 level 5, which is our best level 5 in this deck. He is Digivolve 3 from a Geogreymon. While you have yellow or a tamer in play when Digivolving, gain 1 memory, and then all turns, when one of your tamers is deleted, place 1 Marcus Damon from your trash on top of your security stack face down. His inheritable is the same effect, which is pretty good. Next we're running 3 Rise Greymon next. Anybody? He can Digivolve 1 from a Rise Greymon, so it would be this card he can Digivolve from. And basically its effect is, when Digivolving, you may play 1 yellow red tamer from your hand without playing its cost. But if you Digivolve from a Rise Greymon, you can minus 1 of your opponent's Digimon, minus 2 for each. His other effect is, for each for each tamer you have in play, you get plus 1 DP. Sadly, we're only running 3 of him because his evolution cost without Rise Greymon is 4, which is very hefty. Next, we're running 1 Rise Greymon from BT4. This Digimon is also treated as yellow. That means only on the field he's treating it, and in your hand he is not. His effect is Digiburst 2. What this means is Digiburst 2 is you can basically play a tamer. Play the lower tamer without paying its cost, and its inheritable is when this attacks, if you have tamer in play, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3. So let me kind of explain how this would work, theoretically. So basically, you can go like this. This deck has, because of running Agumon X and Greymon X, you have a few ways to stack multiple sources, and if you can get to 4 sources, you can basically Digiburst 2 twice to play 2 tamers out. So basically, if you had something like this, you could Digiburst 2, and then you play 2 tamers, which is just really good. I will specify real quick, if you desire to, another option for this Rise Greymon, because this Rise Greymon is a bit expensive, is you can run the yellow Rise Greymon, which is on Digivolving. You may play 1 yellow tamer card from your hand, and if you have 3 more yellow tamers, you get plus 1. This is another option. I prefer this one in my deck, but if you have those, it's pretty fine. Next, we're running our main boss monster deck, which is our level 6 Shinegreymon. He can Digivolve 3 from a Rise Greymon in its name. That includes your Rise Greymons, X Anybody's, so basically all your level 5s is level 3 cost. When Digivolving, for each yellow tamer you have in play, one of your opponent's Digimon, and all of your opponent's security Digimon get minus 3. And then all of your Marcuses get plus 3 DP and gain security tech plus 1. Which only matters if Marcus's turn to Digimon. But pretty good card. Your bread and butter of the deck. Next, we're running 1 Shinegreymon. If you desire to, you could run the red Shinegreymon. But I prefer the yellow Shinegreymon because there is a reason why to run him. But I think both are kind of viable if you're looking for another 6th run. But anyways, his effect is suspend all of your yellow tamers, and for each card spent this way, activate the following effect. One of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 4 DP. And this Digimon gets plus 1 DP for each tamer you have in play. but this is an option if you want something a bit cheaper to find, and yeah. Then we do have our one of Omnimon. So as you can see, we do have a few Omnimon searchers in this deck, which is Agumon and this Agumon, who can search out our Omnimon, which is nice. And then also our Koromon will also draw a card if he attacks. His effect is Digivolving Blitz. His other effect is Unsuspend this Digimon. And then if one opposed to with this card, you can return return to hand. You may prevent it from leaving play by trashing level 6 Digimon. It's pretty good. Mostly run this card just to another card way to finish your opponent, kind of like the hybrid card. Next, we're going into our Tamers. We're running 4 Marcus. Marcus's effect is at the beginning of your main phase, if you have an Agumon or Greymon in its name, by paying a memory, this Digimon becomes a 3K Digimon. 3K Digimon, yeah, and it cannot Digivolve. So basically, it has no level. So this actually doesn't matter because some deletion effects care about level. This will kind of, in a way, ignore some of those effects. His other effect is when this tamer becomes suspended, one of your Digimon may Digivolve into a yellow or a card without paying its cost. So the big important thing with this card to note is, so this card suspending it will trigger the effect, which is good. The other big thing to note too is you can Digivolve into this because it's yellow, but you cannot Digivolve into this because it's only red. And it's only treated as yellow when it's in the field. This is basically like your main combo piece that your Shinegreymon works with. So basically, if Shinegreymon is on the board, this card will be basically a 6K to 2K security typic, which is pretty good. Next, we're running 3 of the Memory Tamer Marcus. If you have 2 or less memory, you go to 3, so Memory Tamer. When one of your cards with Greymon in the same attacks, by suspending this card, gain a memory. Pretty good. Helps you fill your suspense stream. Helps you suspend, and also it's a Marcus, so you can play it with your Geogreymons. You can search it with your main Agumon as well, which is just really good. And Memory Tamers are just nice. Next, for our last tamer, we're running 2 Tai and Kari. So as I said before, this card can search for Tai and Kari because it says Tai in its name. This says have Tai, Kari in its name. Its effect is if you have 3 or 4 security cards, gain 1 memory. If your opponent has 3 or 4 security cards, gain 1 memory. Which basically means late game, most likely you're getting 2 memory off this card. And in tandem with your Memory Tamer, it's 5 memory, which is really big. When one of your yellow or tamer attacks, you may spend this tamer to minus your opponent's security by 2K, which can be really important sometimes if you want to make sure your Marcuses don't die in security. Next, we're going into our option cards. We're running 2 Red Memory Boost. So the thing to know about Red Memory Boost is it can fetch us our Rise Greymon. It can't fetch us our Shinegreymon, but everything else in this deck it can fetch for us. If you want to run Yellow Memory Boost, that's fine. I think that's a fine option. Next, we're running 1 Shining Blast and then 1 Sunrise Buster. If you want, you could definitely bump up the Shining Blast. I prefer it at 1. I did play a variation of the deck where I ran like 4 of this card, and it just made it so like there's just a security deck, and I just didn't like playing it. I like playing this deck aggro. But its effect is you may play 1 Marcus from your hand without paying its cost, and then for each yellow or red tamer you have in play, 3 your opponents will get -2. So basically, in the right situation, this is a board wipe. And then you have Sunrise Buster. Sadly, this card is limited to 1. Its effect is you may play 1 yellow or red tamer card from your hand without paying 3 cost. Then, one of your opponent's Digimon gets -DP for a turn for each yellow red tamer you have in play. So preferably, if we could, we'd run more of this, but we can only run 1. And that is the main thing. Now we will go into some things to note. So, basically the game plan of the deck. The main game plan of this deck is you build a stack, like so. You have Marcuses on the board. You have multiple Marcuses on the board. You can use your Marcuses to go into your Shinegreymon, which gives them a security attack. And you have the Greymon to protect your Marcuses from dying. And basically, the idea of the deck is you are playing like this kind of aggro deck, where you do minus your opponent's Digimon at the same time. And that's basically the idea of the deck.